Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, August 15th. This is Ed Carbajal for MMAnews.com. Make sure you check out MMAnews.com's YouTube channel. Click the thumbs up, bell notification, like, subscribe, all that nonsense so you can get videos like this. And this week we have an interview with just 3 days before the PFL playoffs resumed this past Friday. James Lynch got to speak with Kenny Florian, who does commentary over at the PFL, and you know him from the UFC and Ultimate Fighter, all that stuff. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter if you like stuff like this and other MMA news content. You can follow me at Carbazel, and let's get right into it. Before we even move on, I'm just trying to bring up all my results here. You know, every time there's a weekend with no UFC events, and then obviously by now we all know MMAnews.com is heavy into the UFC content and news. But there was none this weekend. They resume on the 21st, this coming Saturday. However, there was a really good Bellator event, Bellator 264, their last one, which is looking. I don't know if they're going to get back to the Mohegan Sun by the end of the year, but it's like 21 events they held there in the Fight Sphere at Mohegan Sun. Bellator 264, one of probably the best card of the year that they had. Shorter, they lost to a couple of fights leading into it. It was a shorter card, but the if you missed Friday night's events, really good Friday night for mixed martial arts. Last night too, if you have a Fight Pass account, there was CFFC, there was the Ultimate, I forget the number 40, the new one that Fight Pass just added, Canadian MMA promotion. Excuse me as I drink this nice cold water from my Ball aluminum cup. Jason Momoa. Shout out to Jason Momoa. They don't sponsor me or anything, but they should. I really like these cups. But anyway, I was actually thinking about recording this last night because there was no UFC and giving myself a Sunday off. But, I tied one on, so I couldn't do that. And plus, it was 100 degrees in this room, so I wasn't trying to record then. A lot cooler today. But anyway, let's get into these results. Go to MMAnews.com for full results and clips and all that stuff. I explained already why I don't play them anymore on here, but let me bring up the website before we get into. There was on the Bellator 264 card. There was a. There we go. I just want to bring it up. They like to remix the article that I put the fight card, and then they put the results and stuff on there. I guess that's original. All right, let me bring that up so you guys, for y'all, could see. I can't say enough. I'm really like the bantamweight. It wasn't even the co-main event. Let me scroll down to the results so you can see. We have all the clips and stuff up at MMAnews.com. So make sure you check out the link for the results, sights, sounds, and results, or whatever they retitled that to. There we go. Scroll down. I mean, this fight with Rafael Stotts, Super Stotts, and Magomedov, probably the best fight that if Bellator has fights, 2015. I've been high on Bellator bantamweight division for a long time. To me, it's always been one of the more, like, if I had to pick divisions exciting within a promotion, because I know on one of these Sunday submission things we talked about how the lightweight overall is kind of like for mixed martial arts and throughout the entire sport. But I mean, I feel like bantamweight is starting to take that overall. But specifically for Bellator MMA, they've always had like really good bantamweights. I mean, you look at the names. So I wrote something this morning, not here for something else, but just about like I got into Bellator's bantamweight division like in 2015 when Joe Warren won the interim title. It was here in Atlantic City. I was at the event. It was at the then Revel, which is now the Ocean Resort. That's where the PFL held their season at, and we're going to get into PFL in a bit. But the Rafael Stotts versus Magomedov. It was a unanimous decision for Stotts because he oddly enough, he managed to. I shouldn't say oddly enough because I mean, if you listen to his post-fight like call out and everything he did in the post-fight press conference that he said about his wrestling is just something that we haven't really had a chance to feature yet because he's competing in mixed martial arts but he managed to in the first round. I remember there was a takedown attempt that kind of dictated what was going to happen, and it was really telling of how the fight went. And this is not to take away from Magomedov, and I know this is like the middle fight in the main card. We'll get to the other stuff in a bit, but this fight for me stole the show. There's two fights that stood out to me. I mean, but this fight in particular was the one. I was looking forward to it while we were leading up to the fight. I mean, going into the fight night card, the podcast that I do with Matt Hawkins, I even mentioned. We do a breakdown of all the bigger like whatever's the peak card of the week, whether it be a pay per view or a Bellator event. We usually do like a breakdown, and this was the one that I said like I didn't even want to do a prediction for it because I thought it could go either way. Going into it, I believe I forget Stotts was ranked either 4 or 5. Magomedov was 3. That's going to change on Tuesday when the rankings come out. I mean, Stotts is going to be 3 or the thing is the bantamweight champ Sergio Pettis is also his teammate. So when he won this fight, one of the things he said in the post fight, I want to remember if it was a press conference or a post fight interview with McCarthy, because one of those, you can guess which one is hard for me to pay attention to. I'll let you gamble on which one that is, but listen to the Coast to Coast Combat Hour, you'll know. But he said that I remember before he fought in this event, the last time he fought, he said that he was fine being a gatekeeper because he didn't want to step on his teammates' toes. And then, with the adrenaline rush and stuff, I know in this post-fight in cage interview, he said he was like, "Let's do a bantamweight tournament," which would be fair because it'd be seeded opponents, and he wouldn't have to really worry about fighting his teammate until say like the quarterfinals or whatever, when it starts getting closer, if they both advance, the way they handled the featherweight Grand Prix that just finished. So he called for $1 million bantamweight Grand Prix, and I feel like that's something Bellator has always kind of had the what's the word I'm looking for? They have more than enough ingredients to do. And Scott Coker seemed like he liked the idea in the post-fight press conference at the end of the event. But they just finished the featherweight one. They still have the light heavyweight one going on. So, for now they got to kind of cool it with the Grand Prix until we come into the new year and there's nothing else going on. Because I mean, and I know I've said this before, like every MMA promotion, you get a fight card and there's a bunch of fights, and yeah, I mean, adding something to the mix makes it more exciting for me. So I like the Grand Prix. I like the PFL's format. I'm glad they came back on Friday. It was nice that they both held events on Friday because it gave folks like me a lighter Saturday night if you weren't covering the regional stuff. But man, this fight was a reminder of how great the bantamweight division is. And one last thing I want to say about it, the third and final round, there was a point where, and it's on here. It's on this hold on, I can't play it for you unless it's a GIF. Where are we with it? There was a point when that's a co-main event, which is really good too. With Koreshkov, former welterweight champion. This is this was the end of the fight. Oh, I can't play this for you. Look, so this is Stotts looking for the choke, and I was a little frustrated. We don't get to see the whole thing because it's just this little image here. But the thing about we have a couple of these. Let's take a look. I mean, the fight was just super exciting. Does he do the step over on here? So he took him down there, but if you look at the placement of Stotts' like thigh and the way he has his shoulders already twisted up, he steps over and reverses that position. It was such a great fight. You really have to see it. But you see how he lands there. So that was the first when they got to the ground at the end of you see the time that happened in the third round. But Magomedov reversed that position and took his back, and it ended with Stotts defending a choke. But the if you want to measure who came closer with the submission, Stotts came closer, which is why he won the decision, because I mean everything he had an answer for everything Magomedov did. Um, but if you want to uh, Stotts had you saw how he landed with the hands like so, and Magomedov was trying to push down the knee so he could get his back to the mat, get his shoulders flat to the mat, and turn into him, which he eventually kind of did. But he had to defend the other hand. There was a point where Stotts had the full on choke. Magomedov's face was red, and he fought off this hand to relieve the pressure with this hand, which is it's not my favorite, choke defense, because it requires it's the defense you have to do when it's mostly locked in. This is a really bad position to be in, but he does it, and then he pulls it down, so Stotts doesn't have the leverage to finish choking with this one. And Stotts commented on it in the post-fight press conference where he was like, "I got to learn how to finish a one-handed choke." There is a one-handed choke, so one of the options. There's a few. I mean, especially there's more if you have a gi on. So when he's here and he pulls the choking hand away, Stotts could have. I don't know if I tweeted this when the fight was happening too, because I don't know. It's probably harder to do when you have an MMA glove on that's taped up and everything, but you can reach, scoot your head forward and reach around. My headphones in the way or whatever, but you can't finish it like so and closing by leaning your neck back, and the guy's neck is in there, and you can finish a choke there, even though your face is open for counterattacks and self-defense. I'm getting off topic, but that's one of the ways to do a one-handed rear naked choke for folks that were curious, because I mean you probably didn't even see the post-fight press conference where he said that, but there is a way to finish it. But he was closer because he was here, whereas when Magomedov took his back, Stotts did a smarter defense. He brought his arms high, but didn't worry about the hooks the way that Magomedov did, and was just kind of like blocking and defending any of the holes that Magomedov's hands could have sunk in for the choke. Super exciting fight if you didn't see it. But that was on the main card, wasn't the main event. Davion Franklin, that was one me and Matt. I mean, I got it wrong. Yeah, we both got it wrong. Me and Matt did. If you look at the time on this, David Franklin trains out there with John Jones and Jackson Wink. I think he's 4-0 now. I think it was 3-0 coming into this, and his opponent was like 15-0, 16-0 going into the fight. So I thought that the experience would, it was too much of a experience gap that I honestly thought, that this might be the guy that gives Franklin some trouble, but we can see by that finish time was not the case. I wonder if we even have that up on there. Even though my name is on this, I didn't add all this extra. I did the fight card announcement. They remixed it, so that's say what you want about that. Let me see if we have it on here. Oh, what a great fight that was. This is a video, so I can't play it, but the finish is there. Check out the link. I don't want to mess this up for YouTube when I upload this to YouTube, but check out that finish there. The fights that went to decision were exciting. Main event, Gegard Mousasi defends his title, finishes John Salter with third rounder strikes, which is so I tapped into the media day press conference. One of the questions I asked was, Gegard Mousasi has been openly honest about, like, if he doesn't feel like fighting, the fight's not going to really be exciting or go well. But if he feels like fighting, then we see what we saw. And he said he felt good leading up to this. I actually had a link of that in here. They probably changed it, but you can check it out at the Bellator's YouTube channel, where he says his mood was good for this fight. He had a plan for Salter that he seemed to stick to. He said he actually said afterward, because Salter did take him down. in the first round, and he said I could have gotten up if I wanted to, but he kind of wanted to see where things went. I mean, the guy's record is like his 52nd total fight. He's like 40. He's 48 and I forget whatever his record is. He's 48 wins now. So Musasi's been fighting for a while, but we saw that he was able to defend all of Salt is really good on the ground. I mean, that's what got him to this title shot, and we saw not only Musasi was able to handle the ground, but once he was there and he was on top of Salter, the strikes they were super audible. Like I know you can hear. There was fans in the arena, so we kind of got used to hearing stuff. But when you hear the impact of the strikes that he was landing with the crowd cheering in Mohegan Sun, that was kind of like a testament to how hard he hits someone on the ground. And he even said even though Salter might have looked like the stronger guy, he was the stronger man, even though his frame is more thin or whatever you want to call it. What else? Talked about Franklin. Talked about Stotts. And then from the prelims, which are you could go back and watch this now on the Bellator YouTube channel or the Showtime Sports YouTube channel. This fight was fun. Pep Sorensen versus Roberto Samato was a split decision. Excuse me, but the fight that I really liked was Jeffrey Glossner and Sebastian Ruiz. And Glossner picked up the unanimous decision, but Ruiz didn't make it easy for him. It was similar to what we saw with Stotts and Magomedov. Almost it was like a precursor or an appetizer, if you will, leading up to the main card. Because for everything, and Ruiz put a little some damage on Glossner too, but for all the submission advantage that Glossner had, Ruiz did just super small adjustments to make it very annoying for him to not be able to get any of the finishes. And he went for a couple of submissions of his own. But I mean, I actually credit to Glossner for not being mentally defeated after trying so hard. He kept going, and that's why he got the win. And the same thing for Ruiz. For literally, there's points where like I said, there was one head and arm choke, and it looked like Glossner was squeezing, but the hand placement of Ruiz is what just kind of saved him from getting submitted there. So a really good card. Probably Bellator's best card in 2021, I have to say. Let's move on to the PFL with the time we have left. I spent most of this talking about Bellator, but that was the one. I mean, it was a 2-screen night for me watching both events, and not for nothing, man. It was really, really something. Like I said, it was probably their best card. I was super impressed with just how it went, especially it was a shorter card, because they lost the 2 fights. And you usually feel like when a card loses fights like that, there's kind of like a darkish cloud. It was on Friday the 13th. Last time Bellator tried to hold a card on Friday the 13th before that, in 2020, a pandemic started. So that's not funny, but if I was Scott Coker, I would be like, when do you want to book this? Friday the 13th? No more of those. Anyway, let's bring up the results for the playoffs for PFL. By now we all know it wasn't the best fight. But listen, when you have 2 really good guys with solid game plans that are good enough to not get knocked out or submitted, that's the kind of fight you're going to get, and that's what we got in the main event. Well, with the playoffs or the main event with the Professional Fighters League. So results are up here on MMAnews.com. This is the results page. We've got clips and the sights and sounds or whatever they call it. I can't play any of these because of the audio, and we'll get hit with as you know. But Ray Cooper. So I was at the 2019 championships when they had him here in New York City at the Hulu Theater, Madison Square Garden. And Ray, they announced that week or the week before, whatever, they had Rory McDonald was there to watch just to see how the whole thing went. Ray Cooper was there fighting, and he won the title, 2019 title. He got his $1,000,000. Came back this year. I think he only missed weight once, but I'm not going to hold that against him because that's his whole PFL career. That was a first for him. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. But at the post-fight press conference, he already visualized, I'm going to be fighting Rory McDonald. I want Rory McDonald because he knows, when promotions, Bellator, PFL, anyone that's not the UFC, when they sign contenders and former champions and stuff like that, they always kind of roll out the red carpet for these names. We saw the PFL did it for Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis didn't even make it to the finals. Now, Rory McDonald did make it to the finals, or the playoffs, rather, the semifinals here, and lost a decision. Again, wasn't the most exciting fight, but it's what happens when you have someone as good as McDonald fight someone, former 2019 champion, and Ray Cooper III. He did everything smart too, but that's the thing. Ray Cooper's a really strong wrestler. It looked like the plan for McDonald was to meet his aggression with aggression and nullify the power shots that Cooper has finished folks with, because Cooper's got quite a few knockouts to his record, especially in the PFL. So it seemed like that was the plan. But the plan involved him wrestling someone that likes to wrestle. And I think that's why things didn't go his way. So, he tried to work his submission game from the top. But Cooper was just too savvy. I think he might have been the stronger man in there. Just looking at if we're doing an eye test or whatever you want to call it, just looking at their physiques. So I'm starting with the, main event, or whatever you want to call it. But and that, that was the last of the names, I think. Well, we still have the heavyweights and the other weight classes. But when you look at all the names that the PFL brought in, that folks were looking to, we thought we were going to see them fighting for PFL titles in 2021. It's already not the case, especially with McDonald and Pettis. And again, I'm not knocking them, but I'm just wondering one thing about this season overall, like with the exception of Cooper. I'm trying to think if I'm, and I'm sorry if I'm leaving anyone out, but there's folks that just that sense of urgency. When the PFL, I remember the 2018 season, if you compare them, like their cards to other cards, like their finish rate, because of how it is handled, they had the best one because folks knew that, like with the accruing points and the whole format that they have there. I feel like that wasn't there this season, but coming out of a pandemic, they didn't have a 2020 season because of it. They postponed they just didn't hold events the whole year. That's why Kayla Harrison went and fought in Invicta and tried to fight in Titan FC. Which is, we have that playoff to look forward to there. So it looks like, before I move on to the rest of the results, it looks like they're also going to be at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Florida for the remainder of 2021, which is weird because I guess they did that to try to have fans come back, because of the whole COVID situation, because with the whole thing here in New Jersey, it's just weird. We're weird here we don't even know what we're doing as far as, the whole COVID situation and what fans should and shouldn't be going through. New Jersey is very reactive, not proactive. And I'm native New Jersey person. I can say that because I'm witnessing it. I'd like to get the hell out of this state, to be honest with you, but that's for something else. Which is why I hang out in New York so much, just because there's more fun things to do in New York City than New Jersey. It's just get fat and, the beach for 2 months out of the year when it's not freezing. But anyway, so it looks like they're going to be at the Hard Rock till the end of the season. Clay Collard, I was kind of hoping he would have advanced. The thing of it is, I think if these guys if something happens where, I forget, you have to check the PFL rules. If for some reason one of these guys can't move on to fight, then they're going to the loser. If I'm not mistaken, it's like say Ray Cooper can't fight at the end of the year, then McDonald, I think, will get his spot. If I'm remembering right. But you have to go to PFL because as much as I'm a fan and I've been following them and covering them since their inception, there's this. This is the point that I don't know. I know about the point system and everything, but just because of how things work here, I'm a little confused. So go to pflmma.com and check their rules for that. But the Rosh Manifo, I kind of saw him winning this as a fight was coming in, but I my heart wanted Clay Collard to win just because he was somebody that he took off MMA completely and came back for this from boxing after making a name for himself in boxing. So I was kind of hoping he would have pulled off a victory, but again, we still may or may not see him. The ESPN Plus, I don't got that, so I didn't see these, but the names that you are familiar with. Um, Oliver Robin Morsier defeated, got a unanimous decision win in his fight. Gleason Tebow, that was a really nice arm triangle submission. If you don't know what Gleason Tebow looks like, we might have an image I could bring up here. That's all the Cooper fight. He's there's no what you would have to tap to an arm triangle submission from that man because he's all arms, biceps, and shoulders up top. So if he puts a squeeze on you, you're tapping from it. I don't think we have it on here. Someone else shared it. It wasn't from the PFL social. Somebody, I think someone that shot their screen or something. But that's how I got a glimpse of that because I don't have ESPN Plus because I'm not a rich person that can afford 8,000 streaming services. Trying to think. That was probably the submission. There's more finishes on the ESPN Plus portion. It looks like than which I feel like it's bad because when they move over to ESPN, when they go to their broadcast channels, ESPN, that's where you grab the new eyeballs. And so if you don't know about PFL and you're channel surfing, you turned on, you saw all these decisions. The typical newer UFC only fan is going to be like, this is why I don't watch it. These are boring. But I mean, if you're not a fight fan, you're not going to know what to look for to make it not boring to you, or whatever the hell folks say that boo in arenas and stuff when the good things are happening in fights. So I'm looking forward to it. I think their next one they're going to do Thursday and then another Friday event as they do the playoffs. The on October 27th, I think, is when they're going to do their championships, and that's when they're going to put Clarissa Shields back on the card so she can continue. So the thing about Clarissa Shields fighting in MMA with the Olympics finishing and stuff like that, and I saw her announcement and watching, remember they started doing this with Kayla Harrison when they were still WSOF. Kayla Harrison hadn't fought MMA. They brought her in and they had her fight, feature fights on their cards. As 2018 they did it. She was a featured fight on the 2018 finals, and then they made the division for her. She fought, made it to the end, won. So they're doing this for Clarissa to do it if she wants to win another title MMA. And if anything about the PL format, they say it over and over again. There's no politics, what have you. I know I mentioned the thing about the red carpet or whatever, but when the fights are matched, and if Clarissa Shields loses, there's nothing she can do, especially if she's in a season format. No matter how much they marketed her or what have you, like they did for again Pettis and McDonald. If you lost, you're done, and the fighter that beat you is now becoming like how many people that if you look at the Ray Cooper III, the people I have a video from 2018 when I interviewed him on my own YouTube channel that's gotten like over 2,000 views or something like that. And this was shot back when folks didn't know who he was. Now people know the guy and they're looking for him, and they're just seeing. He's super humble, by the way. I mean, he turns all that aggression on when he's in the ring or in the cage rather. So it's something to see, but it's definitely some place you could build fighters, which is why the PFL seems to be getting new funding and they're already signing people for 2022. So I'm glad that they got going again. I wish they didn't sit 2020 out. I do remember the plan was to go like the hold events overseas and stuff like that, but COVID is making a lot of plans difficult. So, but they have to do something for the fighters that are there, and I'm glad that they got things going this season. So that's it for me. UFC is back with an ESPN card, ESPN Plus. I forget the card, but you can go to MMAnews.com. We're sure to have plenty of UFC content and stuff leading up to it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. That's my Twitter handle, where as I stream this on Twitter when I record it, and then I upload it up to the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, where you can do the thumbs up, bell notification. We'll probably have more fighter interviews coming as the weeks progress for more UFC events. Make sure you check those out from the wonderful James Lynch, Canada's best, greatest gift to mixed martial arts, James Lynch. And that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm tapping out. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for those that tuned in during the live stream. Peace.